okay? This is Ocean's 11. It was the good one. All right, here we are, ladies and gentlemen. Enough crazy analogies aside. Let us get into game number one. BNK FEARX will be on our blue side to start us off, and second pick belongs to the DN SOOPers. So they're making sure that the pick order is just fine.
I'm afraid if you thought the craziest was going to stop with that conversation, we are going into a 26.14 draft. So
yeah, that's true.
It is gonna.
We needed to be
complex.
extra crazy to get you ready for what's about to happen in this draft right here.
So Vi's taken away. Makes a lot of sense. I think Locke will likely be banned here by the SOOPers. There it is. It's almost always banned on second pick in second spot to leave that third pick for a little bit of reaction, flexibility to what that final ban is, which will be the Camille in this case.
Well, these are looking very standard and very normal as far as bans are concerned. It makes me more worried for what we're going to get when it comes to the pick.
Oh, they banned the Ezreal. Ezreal is so good right now. All of our AD carries here in the LCK love Ezreal, and it seems like in this meta, he is the most flexible AD carry.
He's the only one you're still allowed to play, is what it feels like. That's not called Jhin. But that is going to be a first pick Snake. Obviously, a flex towards the bottom lane and mid lane. But I don't know about Taeyoon and playing the Cassio. It just doesn't feel like a Taeyoon champion to me. Might be wrong.
Does Syndra feel like a Clozer champion? Because that has been one of the more common counter picks.
He's going to log. It's Akali Lee Sin. They've got to just Akali Lee Sin right here, right? Oh, no! You're right, Wolf. You've nailed it. You're denying that classic combo of the Cassiopeia Syndra that we have seen
it's really
paired together before.
As a counter pick, if you can really dominate the lane in the first few levels, but very volatile, so you need a strong jungle pairing with it. We've seen a little bit of Syndra Lee Sin, but something like a Jarvan feels much simpler and much easier to punish the immobile Cassiopeia with, because I don't think this Cassiopeia is going bottom lane. I think this is going to be the mid matchup. And Sharvel agrees.
Yeah.
Like his understudy solid. Is going to prefer the Jarvan here. As Raptor, looking for a potential Nocturne pick. And the Fury a little bit more common right now.
Especially paired with the Cassio. We've seen that combo used all the time.
And Raptor loves both of these picks. You know, he's a big Neferi enjoyer.
Well, let's see what he's going to go with here. As the Nocturne has actually been seeing a fair few bans, but we haven't seen it picked up quite as much. The Lee Sin, a lot more common, and that will be the lock.
I thought they would have banned. I mean, it's Raptor. Raptor is great at Lee Sin. It's one of his best picks, if not just outright his best, instead of the Ezreal, just because Lee Sin is the safest blind jungle right now. We didn't know, of course, the Jarvan was going to be picked already before that, but still, he does end up getting his hands on it, so a lot of comfort here. All eyes on Taeyoon right now to see if he's going to showcase a bottom pick, but instead it'll be the Shen.
Yeah, I like the Shen a lot. It's flexible, right? You can throw it towards the top lane if you'd like to. There are a lot of things that you can punish up there, but it is likely heading towards Kellin on that bottom side of the map as the support. So adds that layer of flexibility and feels a lot better there. Cycling through a few options here, and DuDu's Jayce could be a very scary one. Jayce has been feeling a little bit more safe to blind pick over the last couple of patches is what it feels like to me.
It's really powerful here, I think, when you have that final pick on lock, because you can go for a support pick and then wait and see if you want to go for a mage, if they go for a tank counter pick to this, while protecting it against the Olaf, of course, and likely something like a Yorick. But if they want to play Sion, then you can put deokdam on an 80 carry to make sure you can cut through that health bar with some crit. So I do like the Jayce in this particular situation. See what they decide to ban now, because in the position of BNK FEARX, it is a little bit tricky because that Syndra can still be played in the bottom lane, as well as a number of mages that deokdam can pick up as well. So they'll take away the Bard, which is good, into the Shen in the bottom lane.
Yeah, there's too much flexibility, to be perfectly honest. Like, the Shen could be going multiple places, the Cassio could be going multiple places. I mean, theoretically, it could be Jarvan support. The DN SOOPers could have everything going everywhere.
Well, of course, you got to consider the Jayce mid.
Yeah, and also Jayce 80 carry. Jayce jungle, I'm sure, could still happen. So, like, it's all just all over the place.
So the Olaf and the Yorick are banned away, which is expected. So something like a Sion could be considered here. I know we're not huge fans of it at the moment. It's not winning a whole lot, but
I just don't want to see clear lock in Nah and just have a terrible time.
I think he might consider Cassante as an alternative kind of in the middle.
Yeah, I don't mind that.
As Rell, keeping it flexible. Again, it could be Syndra Rell in the bottom lane. I like this. You go support, you save to see if deokdam needs to play crit or if he wants to double mage it. But whether that's a Syndra and giving Clozer the Akali pick you were talking about, or if it is going to just be Syndra going mid to Clozer.
Yep. I do think that double AP is absolutely fine when you have a Jayce, right? He's representing a lot of damage anyway, and deterring people from building armor is a good idea when there's going to be a lot of lethality coming out of your top laner.
Is incredibly risky.
All right, the Rumble comes through. That is more damage, so that's kind of nice, but I think that they need, like, I think it's going to have to be Jhin or something like that towards the bottom side of the map. They need AD somewhere out of this composition. What Taeyoon is going to be playing, that's what we're about to find out.
Even crazier, like a really late game scaling Zeri, Yunara. Yunara really tough to play, I think, in this matchup. Corki.
I think Corki's fine.
Yeah, Corki actually kind of fits the bill with a little bit of a comeback at this pick right now.
Double equalizes as well with the Valkyrie. It's kind of cool. All right.
So I think you can go for the Akali pick as Clozer if you want to. Pretty fun matchup into the Cassiopeia outside the first few levels. Or just put deokdam on an AD carry. The Viktor will also work here, scaling up. So I think if we go Viktor, it's probably Viktor for deokdam, and the Syndra will go into the mid lane for Clozer. That's my expectation.
We have seen it both ways. I kind of like Syndra in the matchup, but it is a lot of like who hits the most Qs. So maybe there's more variance. And we did see more recently the Viktor going to the mid lane when given this exact choice. But I think it's largely up to what players want to be doing. Exactly right. So like who has the most practice on what champ. This time around, looks like Syndra's mid.
You get the same amount of splinters either way. You get more in the mid lane, and then you go to the bottom lane or the top lane when you're side laning, and you get a little bit less, but you still get the same amount of total, basically, depending on how long you stay in lane. But if you go into the bottom lane, then you get a lot of those more when you move to the mid lane. Doesn't matter that much. Viktor, very safe in the bottom lane. His Q allows him to just farm up, be safe, and if they go for an engage with the Shen, he's got the Rell to empower his gravity field, so it makes those dives a little bit tougher. Whereas Syndra doesn't have really any defensive options. If you miss your scatter, you are going to die to the dive if it comes through. And the Lee Sin, he's going to appear. He will be down there.
Oh, yes, he will. I actually do really feel like the BNK FEARX composition does tie itself together a little bit better in my mind. Like there is a bit more coherence with what this is going to look like as the game goes on. But I think the gameplay is really going to have to back that up. And the DN SOOPers, we have seen them find some victories more recently. Peter is on, a champion that can make things happen throughout the mid to late game. Let's see whether it's going to work as we head towards the Rift for game number 1.
미니언들이 생성되었습니다.
All right. Here we are, ladies and gentlemen. Ready for game number 1. The DN SOOPers fans in full voice here at LoL Park. Very, very cool stuff.
Yeah, it's been a little while since we've had, at least you and I have had, the domestic audience here since we weren't here yesterday.
Yeah, having fan chants is actually so much better, Wolf. Like we were stuck in a weird studio.
Yeah, there were a few in Paris. I wasn't in Daejeon, obviously they were there, but in Paris there were a few, but kind of people didn't get the memo. They weren't sure exactly what to do, so you can only hear them sporadically. But there were Westerners doing it, which I thought was very cool.
I like that a lot. It was a little bit weird when you know, you had different matchups, right? Like when it was like the French fans doing a certain thing for KC, and then there's also the Korean fans doing the Whitings. Now, at least it's like the same thing on either side. It's uniform, and it's what we're used to here at LoL Park. It feels like normalcy has made its way back, which is absolutely fantastic.
Peter and Kellin doing a little bit of choreographed acrobatics here, as deokdam is just going to try to get as much access as he can to experience, but as the wave will crash through, he'll be able to just farm it out. They'll be able to deny a little bit here initially as they get level 2.
I think they missed out on experience on a couple of minions there at least.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you could see it in deokdam's bar there versus Peter's.
Yeah, not great.
deokdam obviously has to play safe here. This is how the Viktor level 1 goes. And it's very difficult to get kill threat as long as deokdam plays safe, but this is just the nature of the beast with this Corki pressure with the Shen to back it up.
Well, Kellin is going to go in. Deathray not exactly doing the most at the moment, but Peter is offering a little bit back. And that is going to be Kellin looking somewhat worse for wear. And now, finally, deokdam able to hit that level 2 and start to make this Viktor work out. So not feeling too bad, but still 10 CS behind. That is an entire wave that is likely to be missed here. And yeah, that's 7 minions down as the waves do equalize. So nicely done here from BNK FEARX to make sure that they have as much control of this lane as possible, put Taeyoon in the best position they can.
This mid matchup going pretty evenly. Syndra pushed in on right now, but a little bit of damage done to VicLa in the exchanges. Here comes Raptor for that first initial pass towards the bottom lane. Peter will come scout this out. Well, I believe saw Raptor, but did not drop the ward because it's too risky.
Yeah, and a gentleman's agreement when it comes to these scuttles as well, but I don't think Raptor was actually spotted at all moving up towards that scuttle crab, so possibly still able to get something done. He's just going to be going back as now Sharvel looking for an option towards Clear. Flag and drag comes in, but Clear is just able to get himself out of there. No investment of the flash from Sharvel, so has that available for the next players. Taeyoon is just, for some reason, at 250 health.
That took like a lot of damage there, it looks like, from deokdam. deokdam was applying a lot of damage to him while he was sitting under turret, just constantly harassing with autos and Qs and his E when available. So just took a lot of damage in general there, and now has to back. So this matchup is turning around a little bit on the bottom side, which is amazing for deokdam, as DuDu should be able to walk this off without phase rush.
Yep, just needed to make sure that he got out of the way of that Q, and did so very nicely. So a couple of ganks in the top lane, and neither of them finding too much joy. Speaking of joy, though, it looks like BNK feeling good about everywhere else other than the top lane, which I think makes a lot of sense.
There's marginal advantages. deokdam has teleport, so can take this free back here. We'll TP back to the ward. It's pinged instantly. Clozer's going to be able to catch this wave. It's a very even early game. Like you mentioned, there's a small lead here, but you know, about a control ward or two in it across the board here.
Yeah, Kellin actually trying to go for a reset potentially, but not being able to. As Peter finds a Shattering Strike, Kellin looking a little worse for wear, but Taeyoon's going in, looking for the angle. The Ignite was on, but not on Taeyoon, who does decide to go hyper-aggressive to try and kill Kellin. Both supports, you know, losing out on one of their summoners, but no flash for Peter could be a big deal later.
Yeah, Taeyoon, we've had a lot of players give their takes on the mage bottom lane and whether they like it or not, and whether they think it should be fixed, etc. Taeyoon gave his take right there. It was like, oh, Viktor, he can't hit me. He doesn't do damage with his auto attack, so I'm going to just continue to chase Peter away, and I like this exchange. As Raptor is going to go ahead and start the Dragon with the pressure they have here. As deokdam will apply some damage here, but we'll have to deal with the minion wave, so really nice crash here for Taeyoon to give him a little bit of extra agency to both protect that dragon, which has good vision, and also get a nice back for himself. Teleportless, hasn't had to employ his barrier or his flash, and is very comfortable with this Corki start.
Yeah, this Corki is going to be pretty dangerous as we move towards the mid-game as well. As we know, the Ezreal has been very, very good throughout this particular patch, and Corki likes the same items, and so you could imagine going to be strong at very similar times as this game goes on. So look for Taeyoon to really explode in that mid-game on that 2-item spike that we often like to talk about. Does need the rest of his teammates to be able to make something happen as well, though. As you can see, Raptor has like a camp lead at the moment on the Lee Sin, but otherwise Sharvel is doing just fine. And everywhere else on the map is looking very, very even.
Yeah, very, very close game. No errors made, and we'll see what happens with the Grubs here in 2 minutes' time. That's going to be the next potential point of conflict, as Sharvel will eventually stop the back there, ultimately stop the back.
All right, there's the taunt in. deokdam in a lot of trouble here. He was the one with flash, but they still managed to kill him. Taeyoon picking up first blood. Oh, God. We were just talking about the Corki being in a great spot. Well,
there's three.
It's greater.
There's three critical parts of this, right? It's the fact that there's vision control. They're in the river, there's a control ward, there's a ward, or the Scuttle Crab, and they have Lee Sin in position, so those are the first two. The third part of this, which makes the attempt to kill instant, is because they see Jarvan, because he stops the back of the Cassiopeia, and Raptor's like, well, we go in, he's got the ward hop here to get over the wall, close the gap. There is no play here for deokdam, except to try to clear that wave, which he ultimately almost does, to get as much farm as possible before dying. Does not even attempt to flash, because there's no way out. This is the Lee Sin early game we've talked about. This is what Raptor is known for. Well, one of the many things he's known for in terms of early game pressure, but this lane provides it. And I think BNK's draft I like so much because it has a lot of agency in the early game. And they're utilizing it quite well. Sure, the top side, there was some action up there, clearly got pushed out, but look at the farm and the advantage that the Jayce has. It's so negligible in comparison.
Yeah, and Clear is so comfortable on this Rumble as well. We know that he is extremely good at this champion, and this whole composition is just going to kind of go ballistic when it gets to a couple of items, and then VicLa can carry that late game pretty comfortably. And matching range was going to be one of those difficult times, but Equalizer can engage from a really long way away. Taeyoon can offer some rockets in that neutral, and if they get engaged on a defensive stand united can be really powerful. Raptor can kick someone out of position if they manage to get around them, and BNK FEARX should be able to build themselves up a decent mid-game lead to get some control there. As the Gravity Well goes down, the Arcane Storm actually used just to deter Taeyoon from any further aggression. Will work at least for the moment. 500 gold lead still there though for the Corki, as Sharvel pokes his nose in to see what's going on in this grub pit, and it looks like Raptor's just going to continue taking these away. Not a lot that the Jarvan can do right now, and Jarvan honestly been struggling a little bit over the last few weeks is what it feels like to me.
It's a good matchup in the 2v2 into the Cassiopeia, right, where you can punish really hard if you're able to get set up by a scatter from Clozer, and Clozer can apply that pressure, but he hasn't been able to have the same level of control he would have ultimately normally wanted to have in this matchup. So he hasn't really been able to find pressure points anywhere outside of the attempt there on the top side, and when he showed mid to stop VicLa's back, it cost them, the bottom dive, obviously. I think they were going to go for it either way, but it made the choice so easy for BNK.
All right, well, let's see how this one is going to continue. As very defensively is Clozer playing right now. I don't know why I needed to be Yoda when I said that, but I did. It's just one of those times. Kellin just pushing Peter away from the banana brush. And they are preparing for a potential Drake to come up soon. First one did go over to BNK uncontested. Next one is going to be an Infernal. Likelihood that we don't get the most impactful of the Dragons is now Clear is looking for an angle. DuDu actually burning down really far with that Equalizer. Does use the hammer to boop him back there, but no flash investor or anything like that here for Clear, who just takes control of this top lane. Yeah,
and he's so healthy that he's just trying to get the teleport advantage here over DuDu, which will be very impactful when the next dragon spawns. If he's able to get back to lane without it, feels really huge for him, as obviously DuDu will have to teleport back to get that wave.
Yeah, that's a phenomenal crash from Clear, who does pick up the steel caps as well as a cheeky Ruby Crystal, and like you say, just wanders back to the lane. That should guarantee a Drake if they want to get it.
Yeah, really nice little tempo equalizer there. Even though he won't have the equalizer for the fight, had he, teleported into it in 30 seconds time here, the fact that his body is there, it really deters DNS for going for a contest if they don't have massive amounts of control. But right now, they really just don't have control anywhere. That's been the story of this game. Even DuDu's lead has really fallen by the wayside here on the top side of the map. With this wave coming through, it'll basically be dead even on this top side. We do also have Raptor with that early aggression picking up a very, very early first item here.
Oh, wow. This the overheated damage actually doing a whole lot of work here for Clear.
Peter's coming over, though. They are going to look to try to further this Jayce lead with a big dive.
Yeah, in goes the Shen, though. So Kellin is going to show up. That's a great taunt onto Peter, who has to flash. Otherwise, the turret was going to get too angry. DN SOOPers going to have to back away. Raptor immediately on the Dragon.
Yeah. They're just winning everywhere right now. That was a great play there from Kellin. Global impact there. So they had the TP to protect Dragon. They had the Shen ultimate to protect topside. There wasn't a great play for Sharvel and Peter to make, but they thought, well, at least this is our one chance, our one angle. They got the Shen ultimate, but even that doesn't feel like that big of a win. Yeah. As Peter ultimately also has to lose one of his big basic engage tools in the flash.
Yeah, and won't be able to get those Flash Magnet Storms, things like this, for the Herald fight that's in 3.5 minutes as well. But if at first you don't succeed, try again, as they will get the Flash out of Clear this time around. And so there is a Cataclysm for Flash trade, but another Equalizer comes down. And I swear, this has just been a lesson on cheating tempo.
Yeah,
BNK have just been so good at it.
And it's Clear specifically in both instances of those equalizers, the communication.
Whoa, flash kick onto deokdam here, who does have to move away from the turret. Even with a flash, though, he's very dead. Raptor, pretty good on the Lee Sin, you have to say.
Really nice play there from him. So, I mean, everything is going wrong for DNS everywhere. I don't know how else to say it. I've basically said it already before. Well, this is a teleport here for deokdam back to lane where Raptor's already wrapped around, and his top side is where his supporters are, right? He doesn't actually have anybody here to help him out. So if Raptor is here, he dies. It's a risk he was willing to take, but unfortunately for him, You know, he was hoping, I'm just get over here and get this wave and it'll be totally fine. No, he died. He is 0-2. He's 1,600 gold behind this Corki. He already has Trinity Force.
Yeah, and that wasn't going to become good news even on even footing, right? Moving towards a couple of items here. Taeyoon does have that tier stacking up. And I think also going to be building into a cheeky little Hex Drinker before the Mirror Mana is put together as well. It's going to mean that the laning phase is just kind of not going to work at all for deokdam or Clozer, most likely. So Taeyoon in a phenomenal position right now, but Clear is also very happy with how this game is going.
If
Raptor's Lee Sin looking as clean as ever.
If this dragon wasn't an ocean, the soul, that's the only way I think this could be a worse situation for, for DNS. That's like the one thing they've got going for them a little bit here, I suppose. Ocean is pretty bad, though, for them, considering they have the Jayce poke, which will sometimes mean a little bit less as it gets healed up. But yeah, we're looking at like the early game parts of BNK are not necessarily extremely robust, but when played this way, like the Corki pressure works out, the Syndra didn't get a lead in the early game, the Lee Sin's made an impact, and then you have the Rumble in a tough matchup where the only place they had a hole equalized correctly to get tempo, and then defensive equalize after getting the Shen ult. I mean, they're just not making any mistakes. As the Herald is up in a minute, DNS are a little early to contest here for Prio.
Yeah, just making sure they can get the scuttle, I guess. Sharvel is going to be able to lock that one down as Kellin was looking for a taunt angle and actually just making sure they can't move in to stop Taeyoon.
VicLa has TP, he's going to get the whole first turret. They're getting most of this mid turret. DNS are nowhere on the map.
They are spiraling right now is what it feels like. And BNK FEARX just know exactly what to do. There is that first turret.
They're getting more than a turret.
Now Raptor is looking for an angle towards DuDu. Shock Blast will get him out of there. And so at least they did have wind of where Raptor was. But I mean, that is not exactly even a silver lining here as they move to about a 3,000 gold advantage.
Sharvel's like, I'm almost gonna, this time maybe I'll get, no, you're not gonna get him, actually. Now it's gonna be, instead of TPing to a potential fight, VicLa's just gonna TP here to cover this turret. And we'll get most of the wave because Rumble didn't have the TP, so they'll swap it back. Good macro game, just straight up here for BNK.
Yeah. And I think they've utilized their tools, right, just so incredibly well. The equalizer for being able to cheat waves and all this sort of stuff. Like, it's just kind of a masterclass in how to take over an early to mid game, set yourselves up for a great rest of the game. You know, like moving into late game with a composition like this cleanly is basically what you're supposed to be able to do, but I haven't seen it done this cleanly for quite some time.
Yeah, we usually just don't see games that are this low kills in our Rise group, where it's a lot of mistakes made and a lot of punishes, but this is just oppression by BNK. You can see that scatter from Clozer did like less than 0 damage to VicLa with his tier 3 boots, and now they have full control over the Herald while it's actually spawned and able to be taken. Peter has got his flashback.
There it is. He does get that Magnet Storm in. They're looking for Raptor, who does go down, but deokdam is going to be traded immediately. So much damage out of this Corki, but Raptor is also going to be dead, and that is going to be the Herald going down in favor of Sharvel. So the DN Soopers do get something back.
Raptor's flash had not come back up just yet. It's very close to. And he still almost, you know, looked like maybe he was going to be able to get out there, but wasn't quite able to. So it is a 1-for-1 plus Herald going over here. This is all on Peter's flash going back up. That's why earlier we were discussing how valuable it is. The Herald was delayed slightly here, so he was able to get it up just before this fight, and they get the engage here onto Raptor. And in return, Kellin is able to get the taunt there to take out deokdam. So it's not a free win here for the side of the DN Soopers, but we'll see what they could do with this Herald. There's a lot of plate gold here potentially in mid to be picked up, as maybe even to utilize it for this dragon fight.
Yeah, maybe a battle Herald type situation here for Sharvel. See whether he can dig their way out of this deficit that they find themselves in. 2.4 thousand gold, or at least approaching. But looks like Clear is already just here in this dragon pit. And Taeyoon throwing out these rockets, helping clear out the wave. VicLa alongside. They will be able to get control of mid and move over towards this dragon. That is not going to last very long. So the DN Soopers need to go in, but they have no Magnet Storm. This is a little bit of a dicey one if they do try to go for this one, because they do need to hard force. Here is that Battle Herald we were talking about, but the taunt, it comes forward. The Herald can't do anything about it, and the dragon is going to go down. That sole point over to BNK FEARX.
That was
and
such
Shelly
a good
does
punt.
nothing.
Kellin just said there's no follow-up. Kellin read their play like a book. They had vision on all entryways, and they see the Herald drop, and the play is so transparent, right? It's so obvious. Sharvel's going to try to crash his way through the fight. He's got ult. He's going to look for either a catch on a carry or the steal of the dragon, and Kellin just locks the door. And look at this, the equalizer here first as Kellin just denies them the ability to fall. Both carries here, both mages cannot get access to the fight. And that's all they really need to do to guarantee the strike goes down. So they also destroy the Herald. The Herald's 0 value. The one thing outside of that kill that came with it that DNS had accomplishes nothing.
And Taeyoon just saying, yes, we really did want to put down 2 control wards there in that brush. That's what that thumbs up meant, I'm pretty sure.
I agree.
Yep. And now looking to play defensively here as DNS kind of overloading this top side of the map. And this is what you kind of do when you feel the game slipping away, is you try and just put more people in a place and kill someone. Hopefully get a turret and try and find some way back in with, you know, a surprising amount of people. But right now, BNK FEARX, they are able to move Raptor over.
And then now
Wave goes down.
They didn't get the turret, and Clear's free pushing. He didn't have teleport, so the call was good to try to push away from the Rumble and make that play happen because he couldn't come over to help it. But because they can't make it happen, everybody gets away. They eventually get that topside turret, but so much extra farm here for Clear as Taeyoon's also looking to push this mid turret down. They have 3 grubs, and I think he's just going to get it. So sure, you get this one, but it's going to be a 1-for-1 turret as that Rumble gets extra money. It should be a 1-for-1 turret. Actually looks like they may just barely be able to defend this, but it is hanging on by a thread.
Yeah, that feels like an IOU already in that mid lane, so that is guaranteed money if they ever get towards that turret. VicLa now moving up here towards this top side. I don't think this turret is going to be going down. Clozer there with the scatter will be able to deter him, but man, even VicLa is looking very tanky with those first couple of items completed in the Rod of Ages and the Dash Cannon. Taeyoon now hits his 2-item spike and went for the Merc Treads as well. Actually really like the Merc Treads purchase when, you know, he has to dance around on gravity fields and things like this. Scatter the Weak can be problematic. Getting out of that CC could be very, very powerful. And so instead of going for the Hex Drinker, make sure he gets that 2-item spike a little bit faster and gets the extra tenacity. Pretty cool move.
Yeah, it's a really cool tech, I guess you could say. And the value will be there. It's incredible how difficult it is to kill VicLa in this game with the build he's chosen. And the belt was actually changed on this patch to give even more health. They have Rod of Ages and the Crush in the double mage, so he's just safe no matter what. Who's not safe as Dockers?
Yeah, deokdam, well, I mean, the Q went a little bit wide, and so therefore he is going to be able to survive there. Raptor is just going to move back towards the river, but there's that IOU that they do manage to claim. Sharvel going to have to get out of here. Control ward in that brush. And BNK FEARX just move into the DN SOOPers side of the river. Feel very confident in doing so. A minute and a half on Ocean Soul. And I kind of want to go back and have another discussion about value of Ocean Soul. Now that I've thought about it,
yeah,
I have a feeling that the DN SOOPers are not going to be very happy about that being on BNK FEARX because, you know, they've got double Blackfire torches. Like, what's that going to do?
Yeah, I mean, the Jayce as well I mentioned earlier is like, is poking.
Yay, yeah.
Are they killing after the poking? Remains to be seen, but yeah, Blackfire belt build for both mages into this Cassiopeia that can't be killed. VicLa can basically just flash into melee range of everybody and drop his ultimate down and just not really care. If he gets a Zhonya's later, I don't think it's even worth it because of the armor value being so low in this game. You should just get an arm guard at best.
Yep, I would agree. Unless DuDu was a little bit more fed, I would agree with you though, but he's still sitting on 0-0-0. Same with Clear, as now Raptor. Oh, that kick flash was so sexy out of the man. Gorgeous play here from the jungler. However, deokdam has survived for a lot longer. Raptor is now going to try and hunt him down to finish the job. Clear is already dead, but that is the bottom lane wiped out in response. Clozer now looking for an angle, but the scatter doesn't work. Raptor is at it again, but not going to go in on that resonating strike as DuDu feeling a little too powerful. So 1 for 2 is going to be the result, but that was a pretty cute little kick flash play.
Yeah, Raptor in full control of this entry point to the Dragon. They are not doing it. They're actually going a safer reset, but that's not apparent to DN SOOPers. Now, the reason why we do end up seeing this pick here onto Clear is because he and VicLa did TP up here, and Clear went very deep to set this up, gets caught by the Cataclysm, And they were hoping to get both. Unfortunately for them, they only got the Rumble as VicLa was able to flash out.
Yeah.
There still has his flash, but as a result, dies.
And I think if deokdam had have immediately exploded, then that would have been a much worse story here for the DN SOOPers. However, was able to buy a lot of time, which kind of separated the game here. But the Dragon is now spawned. BNK FEARX are suffering at the hands of a bit of this poke out of the DN SOOPers. VicLa, though, back into this mid lane, clears that wave out. DuDu having to deal with that.
This might be the best fight the DN SOOPers could hope for, since Peter got that flash engage on Herald. He has his flash back up, his ult's up in 10. They have a lot of banana brush control here. This is the moment they can turn this game around. They've got one real shot here. Maybe BNK just walk away. That is what they're doing right now. Is, ooh, even the rocket poke hurts a little bit here. But you see BNK's macro again. They're just like, nah, I don't like this position. We're leaving. VicLa might not be able to leave. He doesn't have flash.
Oh, dodges out of the way of the scatter and just slithers up the river.
DNS can't get anything in this one.
Taeyoon is frontlining. I'm not sure about that one. The Magnetstorm comes out from Peter. Good flash gets away from the shock blast. Peter is going to be taken down. The defense of the president comes in, and Taeyoon walks away. Clear not so lucky, but Raptor gets another gorgeous kick. And down goes deokdam. The Arcane Storm, not enough to kill the Corki. And this is honestly just a Raptor highlight reel now. As I say that, he misses a Q, but that doesn't matter. I think DuDu is not going to be able to prevent this Dragon from going down. Therefore, Ocean Soul comes in. BNK FEARX set up to win this game.
You kept going back to the Ocean Soul and the Ocean Soul value a little bit there. I want to go back a little bit further.
Okay.
To them not banning Lee Sin in that spot I thought they were going to.
Yeah.
This has not been great. Now, this is just, unfortunately for DNS, they're not able to follow up on the setup here. And so Clear gets this cross, and he sacrifices himself to do a ton of damage. The follow-up is there. Raptor is able to safeguard, hop his way behind there for another kick play despite having no flash. Does miss a critical Q here, so DuDu is able to escape. I think he expected DuDu to flash right there over the wall.
Yeah, that would have been pretty sexy if he had managed to do the prediction. That would have been like Insta-Mad movie. I think it might still be like, you know, there might be a reel for a Mad movie from this game, but that would have guaranteed it 100%. Ocean Soul does come through though for BNK FEARX, and I think that's just the end of the game for the DN SOOPers. I don't think that they will have nearly enough damage to get through this team now.
It's just the setups have been so rocky as well. And now Peter doesn't have flash. You know, he used it in that gambit they took to try to win that fight before the Dragon. And he was isolated and killed. The carries couldn't close the gap. It's been quietly. I know the Lee Sin has taken over the game, and we've seen a lot of the flashiest plays there, but I feel like it's been an amazing game for Kellin as well. He's been everywhere. His taunts have been incredible. He is... I feel like Ox is already ready to put in his POM vote. Yep. We're still only in game one. We don't know what's going to happen for the rest of this series, so these two will have to prove themselves, even if they win 2-0 in that second game. I'm
going to write down on my little piece of paper, though, that like what a potential POG vote would be.
Yeah.
You know, because I have to do pretend votes anyway.
Ox already wrote it in his diary. That's what he does.
Dear diary. I think that
it's a lesser-known fact, but he actually keeps, especially when supports don't get the vote, and he thinks they should. He keeps a full record.
Is that a diary or is that a death note when it comes to?
Well, he makes it very personal. He's like, I was a little giddy when I saw the double taunt from Kellin.
All right, well, Equalizer's going to go down. I don't think DuDu's feeling giddy. I think he's feeling dizzy because there's a fair bit of damage coming on through. He does wake up, though, gets himself out of the way, and Flash or No is able to escape. Still not going to be able to impact this play very much more, as that health bar is extraordinarily low. BNK FEARX now moving towards this top side. 6,000 gold in the lead. As Taeyoon going to get flashed on, but just sidesteps. Now Valkyrie's forward. Clear comes down. deokdam's almost dead. See, they just don't have enough damage to kill Taeyoon fast enough. He already does so much work. Clozer comes in, unleashes the power, but unfortunately the power station is just not really given very much back right now. Raptor comes in, claims a double, and now DuDu back at full health, but he's ran out of teammates.
It's crazy that deokdam escapes. Won't have his 6th death of the game. He's 1-5 on this Viktor. And I think if this was an even game state, that would have been the fight. You know, that was really well played by DNS, all things considered, but they're just so far behind. Itemization is too good here. You know, you mentioned the Merc Treads for Taeyoon, so high value here. Yeah. He dies, but it doesn't matter because they have Cassiopeia, they have fed Lee Sin. And DuDu, one shock blast and a dream.
Well, he's not even really going to be able to do it, as he doesn't get kicked into the Baron pit in order to die to everyone, but he gets kicked far enough to definitely die. No flash on the Jayce, no chance to escape, and that is going to be Baron picked up for BNK FEARX.
This
sidestep was very, very
Then he makes the correct call to go up here to buy time for the rest of his teammates to come over, and he almost lives. It's crazy. Clozer shows up, of course. deokdam just has to leave. In live, we are sieging up with the Baron, trying to break open these inner turrets. And this game is just, you know, it's circling the drain, as you often say. DuDu here wants to get in, or rather wants to find the shock blast timing to try to look for a miracle steal, but he gets seen and deleted, and he's the only one dead now in live, but the Baron is already starting to get some serious work done here.
Yeah, and the flash is back up for Raptor. Doesn't quite have kick just yet, but that'll be up very, very soon. As you can see, 8 seconds on the clock for that one. So that's when the next play for this Lee Sin can come on through. Taeyoon very comfortably takes down this inner turret. No more of them left on the map, as it is 6-1 in favor. And that's going to move them to a 9,000 gold advantage. I mean, there's Soul already in pocket. There's 2 minutes until the Elder.
The Cosmic Drive here for VicLa, I feel like it's such a great item choice.
That's a cool choice, yeah.
He's just like, I'm tanky enough, the fight's long enough, I'm just going to get so much out of this.
All right, well now, they're going to siege their first inhibitor turret. And yeah, Raptor can kind of choose his target here. Good scatter onto Kellin, but he is relatively tanky. As I say, that does take a lot of damage there. And there is some wave clear out of these mages, even through the Baron. So the DN Soopers do survive for that wave. But now VicLa can move on forward. Dash cannons in, trying to put some fear into deokdam, who does have to get himself out of the way. Scatter is going to go wide. They get the turret. Q lands here from Raptor. And he's just waiting for anyone to make a misstep. Is deokdam going to step too far forward?
They're looking to catch Sharvel's engage too. They know he doesn't have flash, so they know exactly what his engage range is, and so they can kind of stay on the edge of that, and if he tries to force it with Flag Drag Cataclysm, they're going to look to turn on him and punish him because they can delete him so quickly. The fact that Raptor has GA means that he can play incredibly aggressively. His flash is back up now as well. And frankly, I think what they do now is just set up a lot of large vision that DNS are going to have to walk through and then do Elder. And then they just walk down the mid lane and end the game. Unless they kill people here, then they can end it without Elder.
They might just do the walk down and win the game anyway, because I think they might just be that strong. It's a 9.5k gold lead as we tick towards 30 minutes. The DN Soopers just haven't really been able to find anything here in this game so far.
Taeyoon to get the scuttle, as we're going to have a deep flank here from DuDu.
All right, the last-ditch effort flanking Jayce. Let's see whether this is going to work, as he comes in with a big old shield. Peter is looking a bit worse for wear, though, as we can see. And that is all they're really going to get. However, Clear comes down. That's a brand new hat on this Rumble and just halves their health bars. Magnetstorm doesn't do a lot. The kick is gorgeous as he locks down the Syndra. It's a double already here for Taeyoon, who's looking fantastic on the Corki, and Raptor is just hunting them all down. Finds his opposite number and will be able to get Sharvel out of there. They at least killed Taeyoon again. That's something.
That was the last
still the end of the game.
The BNK sussed it out, they back away. Not that I think a flanking Jayce this far behind was going to do too much, but they didn't even give him a chance to do that. And they're going to close this one out. An incredibly one-sided game here on day 2 here of week 10. BNK coming back with a vengeance.
Yeah, and this is a DNS that just managed to take down Bro in the Casper Cup, and a BNK FEARX that were already eliminated from the Casper Cup. Phenomenal looking performance though here as they make their way back to the LCK in their first game of the Rise group. And you have to remember, 2 teams are eliminated from this group.